Hello, this is the Red Riot Robot, coming to you with logging August 2025. This month I wasn't as busy as the previous month, but I didn't get to play as many games, and we'll get into that by the end. But we'll start off with the first game that I finished this month, which is Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. This is from the developers who made Blasphemous, and unlike Blasphemous, this is a straightforward platformer with stages that are selectable, and it's pretty much what it is on the tin. It's definitely built around speedrunning more than anything else, so much so that a lot of the social media around it, ran by the team, is running competitions where they have people send in speedrun times to win prizes and stuff. Sometimes it's even copies of the game if it was attached to the demo. That it's kind of hard to go into it. There's a lot of it comes down to learning how to build up charge attacks and kind of when to hit enemies, because some enemies can give you an auto charge attack when you kill them. You kind of learn to do them in a pattern, so every level sort of feels like a puzzle in a way. The game also gives you medals and stuff that you can equip to your character to be able to change how you play, but a lot of these don't change it in a drastic way. At least I feel that will make a significant difference in the level to level unless you're that good at the game itself. It feels like you have to start touching that skill ceiling, and I'm nowhere near that for any of those to really matter for me. But yeah, that's Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, and if you want a really well made straightforward platformer, I recommend it. The next game that I played was Nobody Wants to Die. Nobody Wants to Die is a game that I really want to say I loved, but I kind of don't, because I realized what it would entail for me to replay this game. So this game is one of those all your choices matter type games, like The Wolf Among Us and The Walking Dead and, the upcoming Dispatch in a way. Like with those, there's always these kind of in-between segments where this game's big key thing is you are an investigator and you have the ability to go to crime scenes and figure out what happened by fast forwarding and rewinding. I don't want to say the time, the spectral energy, so you can recreate the crime that is happening and witness it as if it's happening right in front of you. I'm not going to be able to explain in depth what's going on in this game. I feel like there will be a video about that. But a big thing with this is that in this universe, there has been created the ability for pseudo-immortality. And that pseudo-immortality is brought on through the ability to essentially move souls between bodies. And the original creator of this technology that can move these souls, I think it's called a chiral in the game. I'm not 100% on that. But anyway, the original creator has been killed. Not only has he been killed, but his body has been damaged in such a way that his chiral cannot be removed and put into another body. He is effectively permanently dead. And after that, obviously the thing is, authority figures want to sweep this under the rug, and that's kind of where the jumping off point is. My issue with this is the investigation segments take a very long time. Even if you know what you're doing, they'll still take probably 66% of the time in this game. And replaying this game does not feel like a good idea for me, because while I enjoyed it on the first playthrough, I have a feeling going through all of those investigations again on a second playthrough where I know what will happen and how everything is investigated, it'll be very boring, which is unfortunate. And it'll be one of those cases where if I do a second playthrough, I feel like I'll have to look up a walkthrough just to get an ending that's somewhat preferable. And I feel that's against the idea of the game. They had a decent set of ideas here, and I just think that they didn't make everything quite mesh together correctly, unfortunately for them. But otherwise, I thought it was a good game. I thought the voice acting was actually really good. For an indie game, this is really good. And the writing was pretty good as well. And I found the world very interesting. But yeah, the having to redo everything is just not ideal for this game. The next game that I finished was Mafia: The Old Country. And this has been an interesting topic online because you kind of have like two camps that surround this game. You have one camp who has been playing mostly typical open world games like GTA and Ubisoft games. And I guess that's it. I don't know anyone else who makes open world games anymore, unfortunately. And, you know, it's like this expectation that the world will be a living, breathing thing. And that would be nice, but at the same time, you have the other camp that I belong to who understands what this game was setting out to be, which is essentially being similar to Mafia 1 and 2, specifically Mafia 1, the remake. This is definitely more of a sequel to that game, the remake specifically, than any other game. I say sequel, I guess a prequel would be the proper term, because this happens before all of the other games. And so, even though I am the proper audience for this, I do have problems with it, and I kind of want to talk about that for a second. First problem, this game has an inordinate amount of stealth missions, and this game is not built for them. It feels like the stealth you had in, like, Uncharted, where it's really crap, or like what's a better, you know what, just generic third-person shooter force stealth segments from the 7th generation. By saying that set of words and you've played through that, you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of them here, and I don't know why, because the stealth is not very good. I will say it's pretty easy. Most of the enemies are so far apart they won't see each other ever, which is really funny. In fact, this game is overall pretty easy, which brings me to the second thing, which I kind of just find funny. Whenever you do chases or races, it's very obvious that the devs programmed it to where if you're starting to, like, not be where you need to be at a certain point in time, they'll force the NPC that you're chasing or following in a race to slow down to allow you to either pass or catch up to them. And it's really funny to me because it just kind of comes off like, oh my god, we're running away from this guy. Oh, we got to let him catch up. Come on, he's got to be able to shoot at us. Come on, you can make it. You can make it. And it's really funny. It's just really funny. And it happens a lot. I kind of played with it. And so if you do try and you're able to avoid that, you'll kind of get in the moment and feel it. But at the same time, like, the moment that you see it, it like shatters all illusion. And I would say the third problem I have specifically is a big deal with this game. This game kind of really wanted to show this off, and it feels like they tried to make an interesting melee combat system, which is really sad to say that this is worse than the melee combat system in Mafia 2, which was actually good. It's pretty solid. But there's this melee system. I say melee system. It's dueling. You get into this little ring, pseudo rings, where you fight someone with a knife. And these knife fights are basically just waiting for the enemy to attack, waiting for the counter, and then doing a slash combo. Don't ever do a thrust combo because you will land only one hit, and the other attacks take so long that the enemy is able to come out of the stagger animation. I don't know how you fuck that up. Similarly, the slash combo has 4 hits. You will never hit all 4 hits. You will hit the first 2, and either one of 2 things will happen. You will miss the 3rd hit and then hit the 4th hit, or you'll hit the 3rd hit and then the 4th hit, the enemy will be hit so hard by the 3rd hit that he is out of range of your 4th attack. Like, it's there, but they didn't entirely put it together right. It's weird. And so those are the 3 big problems. And so I'll end on, like, positives with this, which is the writing, the characters, and the voice acting are what hold this game up. They are doing the heavy lifting for this game. You will probably enjoy this game's characters more than anything else. The plot is pretty obvious what's going to happen. If you've watched any Mafia movie whatsoever, everything that happens in this movie is exactly what you expect to happen, and that's fine, but the characters themselves hold this game up. As far as where does this fit in quality-wise within the Mafia series, as far as like the cinematic 10-hour experience ones, I would say this is actually probably the worst one out of, Mafia 1, 2, and now this one. This one is probably the weakest. It definitely feels the cheapest, and you'll definitely feel that cheapness while you play the game. But in certain areas, they've also, kind of were smart with their budget, because while the map is small, they do use the map in clever ways with the chases. I know I kind of mentioned the AI, but the actual map itself is pretty good, because you'll actually be going through the same area multiple times, but you probably won't even recognize it because of the different chases and how the different chases use different paths and use the same paths, but it always feels like you're doing a different path. They nailed certain things really well, and they kind of missed certain things pretty hard. I wouldn't say this is a terrible game, but I also wouldn't say it's a great game. If you like the Mafia 1 and 2 specifically, I would wait until this is about $30. It's $50 right now, just base price, which is pretty good, but based on the quality of this, I would say get it at $20 or $30. After that, the game that I finished, that I actually started last month, was Ghost of Tsushima. And my feelings toward this game have not really changed, which is that I kind of like the first third of the game is pretty good. It's really good at building things up. And then you get to the second act of the game, and that's where the best stuff happens. It has the best plot, it has the best missions, it has the most, in my opinion, interesting environment design. You get a lot of the cooler abilities there. You have a lot more duels in that area, and it's just a much more fun area. And then you get the third act, and I feel like it's much weaker than the second act. I wouldn't say it's bad. It does stick the landing. It feels like they were kind of running out of things to do, and they were like, all right, now's time to wrap everything up for all of the characters. And I feel like there could have been a little bit more done in the third act. I did not replay the DLC. I like the DLC, but I kind of wanted to move on. I will say, based on what little trailers I've seen of the Ghost of Yotei, which I'm not getting because I don't have a PS5, I'll probably get it way down the line, seems that it's addressing some of the issues I have with Tsushima, especially when it comes to stances, kind of sword and shield being the most useful stances in the entire game. The other two stances are not useful in most boss fights. I would say this game still holds up, in my opinion. I still like it. I still think, even though it's sort of an Ubisoft style game, the game is good enough to where it's able to hold my attention. And it seems like the developers have learned from this, because I kind of watched a couple of interviews where they're saying that the map of Ghost of Yotei is about the same size as Tsushima, but they're putting more stuff. And I think that's a better decision than what Spider-Man 2 did, where they expanded the map and it feels like they reduced the amount of content, so it feels more empty. So the game I played after Ghost of Tsushima was Azaran, the Demon Bottle. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. This is a companion game for the upcoming Azaran Islands of Jin. Islands of Jin is a Ocarina of Time inspired game, whereas the Demon Bottle is a original Legend of Zelda I don't know how to say that. And this is basically 3 dungeons that you play, and honestly, it's pretty good. And for the price you get it at, which is $2 for about an hour and a half to 2 hours of 3 solid Legend of Zelda dungeons, isn't that bad. I enjoyed it for what it is, and I'm looking forward to Islands of Jin when it comes out. And if Benji is watching this, please put out a demo where we get to fight that boss at the end of the demo that she teased. That looks cool. I also decided to finally play Hexcells Infinite. I got this a long time ago. I also had already played the previous 2 Hexcells games. And if you don't know what Hexcells is, it's basically Minesweeper, but with hexagons. And if that sounds cool to you, go get Hexcells. It's pretty good. And the last thing that I've started playing and am currently, I think, towards the end of it, final game that I've started and haven't finished yet, but I'll probably finish and talk in more depth next logging, or maybe before that, who knows, is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I am at post-date night at the Gold Saucer, and so I have a feeling, based on my memory of Final Fantasy VII, where we're at. I have a lot of thoughts about this game. I might put them into a video once I finish this, because there's certain things I really, really like about Rebirth, and there's certain things I don't like, but I'll say that this is a behemoth of a fucking game. Holy shit. Short thoughts on it so far, though, are overall I'm enjoying it. So there's that. But I think I'll speak more on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in a future video, because I want to see how they land this plane, so to speak, and see if they've got it. And that's everything for August. And as always, thank you for listening. This is the Red Riot Robot, signing out.